Jim Murphy, a chemical weapons expert with the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. Dtra, as recalled, is a combat support agency of the Department of Defense tasked with reducing the most serious threat the world faces today, the use of weapons of mass destruction, or WMD. These weapons can be chemical, biological, nuclear, radiological, high explosive, or any weapon used by our adversaries to cause widespread panic, destruction, and death. Our nation has the strongest military in the world, yet today we face threats from new enemies who seek to negate our overwhelming military advantage by using unconventional weapons and tactics. So for the next few moments, I'm going to take you literally around the world, from Japan to Germany, from the former Soviet Union to the United States, all to show you how the people of the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, Dtra, are working to take these unconventional weapons out of the hands of our enemies to make the world safer. Half a century ago, dedicated scientists assembled the first nuclear device here in this room at McDonald Ranch. 60 years later, the technology has spread, and there may be other small rooms in faraway places where people are doing similar work. That's why it's vital that our nation have the tools to defeat those enemies. Within the Defense Department, Dtra is the go-to agency for WMD expertise. And the reason for that is simple. Dtra has the tools, the experience, and the people dedicated to reducing the threat from weapons of mass destruction.
Part of why we were formed back in 1998 was specifically to bring together a lot of the legacy agencies that have expertise in this area, so that we do have one agency within the Department of Defense that has this as their area of expertise.
And this expertise is the foundation of the 5 tools the people of Dtra use to make the world safer: threat reduction, technology development, chemical and biological defense, combat support, and the first tool we employ, arms control, reducing WMD threats at their source. 2 decades ago, the United States and the Soviet Union signed the first nuclear arms control treaty, which not only eliminated an entire class of nuclear weapons, but for the first time allowed the inspection of each other's facilities to verify that both were doing what they pledged to do. Today, Dtra personnel lead those treaty inspections, as well as escorting foreign inspectors at U.S. facilities. These missions take us around the world. At Yokota Air Base in Japan, Dtra teams head to Russia to inspect their nuclear weapons facilities. In the United States, Dtra personnel escort Russian inspectors at the Kings Bay nuclear submarine base. And agency and Polish personnel work together in Germany to prepare for an inspection in Ukraine.
So we have been doing arms control inspections in the former Soviet Union. The Russians and others have been doing inspections against our forces. And I personally believe that has led to a significant enhancement of mutual confidence and trust in each other.
And this cooperation continues through the International Counterproliferation Program. This effort, designed to prevent smuggling of weapons of mass destruction, has provided equipment and training to over 2,000 border guards and law enforcement personnel in over 18 countries in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union. While arms control focuses on accounting and securing WMD at their source, Dtra's second tool, threat reduction, actually eliminates those weapons.
We literally help them chop up nuclear missiles. We literally help them break apart the bombers that used to be on the runways on alert. And we literally go to their shipyards and dismantle their nuclear submarines, take out the cores, render them unusable. And that's pretty important stuff. And again, I can't imagine money better spent to make the world safer than that.
Today, we're working cooperatively with Russia, eliminating strategic offensive arms, including bombers, missiles, and submarines. Dtra is also helping Russia to eliminate their stockpile of chemical weapons in a safe and environmentally sound way. Because of our cooperative threat reduction efforts, former adversaries such as Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and Belarus, who once had strategic weapon systems aimed at us, are now nuclear weapons free. And the world is safer. The global war on terrorism takes us to new locations to combat an enemy who operates from unconventional places. That's when we use what we call uncooperative threat reduction, which brings us to our third tool, technology development.
We work closely with the warfighter, with a lot of technology developers such as Air Force and Navy labs, and we put together capabilities that we can use to reduce weapons of mass destruction threat that way.
This cooperative effort allows Dtra's technology development personnel to quickly design and test new and modified weapon systems and tactics. From our facilities in the New Mexico desert, we test and further develop these new technologies, such as bunker and tunnel-busting bombs, designed to hit our enemies where they hide. Dtra enhanced our military success in Afghanistan and Iraq. This testing also allows us to design improved construction techniques to protect U.S. facilities against attack. In fact, the design improvements we learned by repeatedly blowing up this building were applied during the renovation of the Pentagon and saved lives on the September 11 attack. The 2001 anthrax attacks demonstrate that terrorists will use chemical or biological weapons against the United States and military personnel. That's why Dtra's fourth tool, Chemical and Biological Defense, continues to develop the technologies to answer these questions.
What is the best mask? What is the best overgarment? What is the best that we can provide our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines so that they are prepared to fight and win our nation's wars if they're called upon?
We're also working to develop new methods and technologies to ensure that our critical facilities, such as air bases and seaports, will be able to operate in the face of chemical and biological attack. By designing these cutting-edge technologies to mitigate the effects of chemical and biological weapons, the people of Dtra are clearly making the world safer. From this operations center in Northern Virginia, Dtra personnel monitor events worldwide, coordinating our support to the warfighter in fulfillment of our last tool, combat support. Dtra's combat support provides the link between Dtra and U.S. forces around the globe. And tasked with being the link are Dtra's liaison officers, or LNOs.
We're the deal brokers, so that we can get the people who have a need to talk to the people who have the capability to fulfill that need.
For instance, Dtra personnel designed and built these sensors to fulfill a need to protect military bases from the threat of so-called dirty bombs. For the battlefield, Dtra developed tactics and hardware to mitigate our enemy's use of improvised explosive devices used against our troops in Iraq. Combat support also provides assessments at military bases around the world to identify vulnerabilities and recommend ways to improve security against terrorist attack. As part of our nuclear deterrent, Dtra supports the safety, reliability, and credibility of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. And our nuclear expertise allows us to provide training to our military forces and first responders on handling accidents involving nuclear weapons. Combat support takes the technologies and procedures developed by our previous tools and puts them in the hands of our military to defeat weapons of mass destruction, to protect our forces, and to make the world safer. But our tools alone do not make a successful combat support agency. The men and women of Dtra, serving in operational and support roles at home and abroad, together make the world safer.
I have 2,100 people. Every single one of them is an ambassador for the agency.
We are blessed with an extremely talented, dedicated workforce.
Dtra people are the best of the best.
I'd say they're the best inspectors in the world. It's a real professional treat to work with them.
From an airbase in the Far East to a missile silo in central Russia. From the test ranges in the western United States to our headquarters in Virginia. From the source of the threat to the towns and cities of our nation, the people of Dtra are making the world safer.